Yeah, betting man. I say Sky Temple. Nope, BOE. Glad I didn't bet on that one.
We're going to BOE as this one's chosen by Tempest after taking us not as a dominant as we kind of thought going into today's series. But it will be BOE. And this one, of course, not the Tracer. Vala will matter a lot more here.
Yes,
With the
Vala.
cube. Maybe we'll see H82's Artan is coming out once more.
Greymane. Ironically, as you say, it's not the better map for Tracer, but this is a map we've seen a lot of Sign Tracer. Feels like he just really likes using the hero on this map. Perhaps it's because of the open center and how you can freely roam around mounted on Tracer, which means you don't have to use your blink charges as much. Whereas if you're trying to roam on a 3-lane map, for example, when you go through mid, you will never be seen usually by the minions, and also you will be dismounted. But when you're going around this map contesting or trying to go for dive, as Tracer usually can remain mounted and be a lot more mobile. But yeah, in terms of racing, not going to be the hero you want here.
To starting BlossoM, starting the draft with Genji.
Feels like a fake ban. Not Genji's strongest map.
I think this is saying ban Ariel so we can take ETC once more. Because Gondar, I think he's... Even if they lost game 1, I think he should be feeling pretty good after making those plays.
I think that is a fantastic assessment. And the cool thing is, obviously, if Tempest wants to respect that pick, then they can get the Ariel. So that's why they don't ban the Ariel here. Because it's like, aha, you have to ban Gondar's ETC, right? But if you do that, then we're going to take Ariel. So they ban the S tier instead of taking the respect ban on the ETC, which I think will lead us into this. Vala is also a great choice here. So BlossoM has all the options, all the cards with this first pick with the Genji ban. They're going to take the Tassadar instead, though, not focusing on hero picks here, but really just flexibility.
They're going for flex and actually focusing a little bit into Vala as they pick Tassadar up already. Ooh, but here comes Tracer and Morales.
So every time I see Tempest on this map, I always have to feel like we're going into a Tracer comp. Did not expect it to be Morales-based this time, though. Thought we might see Lucio again. Let's see how this one is going to pan out. Morales with so much more escapability. Safeguard plus the healing makes Tracer a very happy cavalry, if you will. People are saying cheers and whatnot, and pulse bombs are flying. And Doomfist is back in the museum. Everything's going to be okay.
We'll see. Morales actually prioritizing higher than Uther. Haven't seen that for a long, long time. Now with Morales picked with Tracer. What do they have? BlossoM? Okay. They can take that. They can just take Vala along with Uther if they want to do so.
They can kind of take the reverse comp that we saw last game, right? They can actually take the Vala and the Lucio. And they don't have to pick Vala right now because they know that Tempest, isn't going to take it. Now, Tempest could ban it, but they gain the ETC. If they ban the Vala, they still have Greymane, so I think this is a safer pick to pick the ETC up in the Lucio early.
And they also have Lunara as an option if both are taken away and banned at the same time. So I think that's exactly the line of thinking BlossoM is having right now, because ETC will definitely be banned if they picked Vala or even Lucio.
Yeah, I think Lunara is quite good against Tracer in this comp if you take the Thornwood Vine. So let's see if they want to take. Obviously those are the two big picks here, right? The Greymane or Lunara. Cassia is also an option. You don't really think of Cassia as a hyper carry, but in Korea, basically exclusively she is, but used only against Greymane. I think the same principles apply against the Tracer in terms of blinds.
I think we'll see a lot more Cassia starting from playoff, of course. I believe we're having the KT balance patch starting from the playoff.
I believe so.
Maybe into BlizzCon. And Cassia did get a slight buff, so maybe we'll see a lot more Cassia coming out from not just from Korea, maybe from all the teams in BlizzCon. Ooh, thinking of Johanna here, as they are definitely looking for some auto attacks if they ban Johanna.
If they ban the Arthas, I think it leads towards a gray main pick. If they ban the Johanna, I think there's a lot more options available. Could even be a Cassie if they ban the Johanna. Going to be Arthas. So that leads me to believe this is a gray main pick. And this is now a kind of a choose the best counter situation for Tempest in terms of their tank. Because we saw Tyrael use last time for Tempest, right, with the Vala. Is that as strong here? You have to wonder what the DPS is going to be. If it's going to be something like Lunara, it's very strong. So something like Greymane, it's still strong, but it's not necessarily what they want. They might prefer to have the Murd in here. Arthas would have been the best option, but it's removed.
You do have grenades to cancel the mosh pit, but if Morales is caught, so I think you need some more CCs, and Condemn may do it, and Blessed Shield oftentimes did it against the ETC. So there's the Johanna as a big counter to Oft, and also BlossoM was considering banning Johanna at the same time.
The Johanna will, you know, blind the Greymane, interrupt the ETC mosh, so good utility pick here. So,
what?
I mean, is
DPS Lunara or just?
Yeah, I think you're looking at Lunara, possibly Greymane, and possibly the Cassia. Those are the three big ones here, and you obviously will pick up a solo laner. Maltha still available, and no Tyrael.
Or
so.
Jimmy, he may come in here.
You think it's gonna be Jimmy?
No.
I was gonna say because I don't think so. Like,
not today.
It's like, I don't know what's in your coffee over there, G-Clef, but don't share it with me. Look, it's going to be one of those three. I think Malthael's the best solo laner in this situation. Sonya and Zul'Jin. No one could have seen that coming. One guy read's like, no, I knew it was all along. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes.
So
we knew if there was any weird picks happening today, it was going to be BlossoM picking one.
Yeah, certainly. And it works really well with Lucio and Tastar as well. You can also, if you time Sound Barrier correctly, after he uses Taz Dingo, you can basically, you know, do insane amounts of damage for forever when the Sound Barrier comes in, because you still survive through that after it expires if it's timed correctly. And, I mean, there's a lot of synergy between Zul'Jin and Lucio because you can maintain that low health. So, versus Sonya could maybe be the Malthael. Thrall, not out of the question, but pretty unlikely, you'd have to say. They could just put a Tyrael into this and go super all-in on the Tracer, have Tyrael as a solo laner. Artanis, H82, what's up? Okay.
That's what's up, and he will go for the Immortal on the other side alone after taking the amateur opponent. This is a crazy draft from both sides. I love this coming out with the shield and the sustain, as you mentioned, from Lucio. I think BlossoM has a lot of damage, you know?
Yeah, I
Sonya front line is pretty strong.
I think if they can keep Zul'Jin alive, he's, even though I don't think ever seen this in Korea on this map, very good actually on the race if he's at the right amount of health because of his crazy attack speed. So we'll talk about this more, guys, as we get into game number 2. It's going to be on BOE. If Tempest wins it, they will take match point. Let's find out if they can do it. In blue, BlossoM, Wiz on Sonya, Gondar on ETC, Mora on Tassadar, Dudu on Zul'Jin, and no chat on Lucio.
On the other side, Tempest, Hyde on Luther, Honkana on Morales, Lockdown on Johanna, Sign on Tracer, and H82 on Artanis. There's once more having Sign on the Tracer. Lockdown switching from tanks. Lockdown did play a few tanks, even in phase number 1. Some Arthas, some top solo lane even.
Yeah. Bit of a swap. Everyone's always wondering when we'll see Lockdown Sonya again, but not going to happen today. In Sign's interview, he said that this is the only hero that he will ever play DPS. He will never consider playing DPS full-time. It's only the Tracer. And the reason he gave, actually, was that he said that Honkono is such a good tank that it feels like it's okay to flex into the Tracer because Honkono's got his back. And that's mostly with the Tyrael, as we were talking about earlier. But in this case, Honkono is going to be doing his new support role, which he's been incredible at these past few weeks. So I'm actually more confident in this comp with Lockdown on the Johanna and Honkono on the Morales from what we've seen so far, especially with the Lucio in Game 1. And I like this a lot.
Yeah, not just in Game 1, overall series even before. Honkono and Karazim, Morales, Lucio. I think he's a great support, to be honest.
Yeah. Karazim and Lucio come to mind. I mean, the Morales we're seeing now is, you know, it's still in the early game, a minute and a half in, but impressive. Feels like we're going to see some revenge pulse bombs in this game. Gondar nearly dying to one just moments ago. As in this early game, Sign is just trying to farm as much hero damage as possible in order to build those pulse bombs for potential picks.
Wiz, of course, known as this melee assassin. That's his favorite, and he gets to be on it with the top solo lane. But this is an interesting one, as Dudu has to position himself pretty well. It's not as easy hitting auto attacks onto Tracer because you can always just blink out of that range.
So Honkono on the Morales gives them so much sustain here, it's hard for them to actually break through and force this. I think what they're doing now is the better option. Oh, nice swap here. Looking for the pick on the Wiz. Amateur opponent means even with the Sonya there, they were able to chip a lot more. I say a lot, it's about 1,000 more health. But I don't think this is ever going to be a win for BlossoM if they didn't actually go and invade like that, which they did. Artanis goes back to the Immortal, though, and yet again, Honkono, because of his good positioning here, is able to basically nearly infinitely sustain these heroes. So Sonya has to go back up to try to challenge the Artanis. They're getting closer to contesting this Immortal, but with the blinds coming through, this is just going to always be slower than amateur opponent. And now, in fact, they've lost the battle here. Gondar's positioning great, but it's not good enough to save. Dudu does go down there, and Tempest is just going to walk back, re-heal up with the energy that Morales now has with the rework. And it's all going to be hunky-dory, taking now a 5k shield lead. And Tempest is very happy with the situation. In fact, BlossoM is just going to concede the point, head to lane to grab some soak, it looks like.
Their sustain is insane, and every time Zuzin tries to do some damage in the front line, Sign blinks out of that range, make sure that Zuzin cannot do any auto attacks, and make sure they do burst damage, because if they don't do burst damage and Zuzin can sustain for a long time, then that's the timing that Zuzin will come in with the shield, with the sustain healing, and he will put out massive amount of damage. So Tempest already seems like they know how to deal against the Zuzin pick. This is somewhat worrisome from BlossoM.
Yeah, I don't even know what they're supposed to do against it, to be honest. I'm not saying it's unbeatable or anything like that, but with how Tempest is playing it, I don't have an answer, especially because the Artanis pick makes so much sense. He's just simply going to sit there with the amateur opponent. He's a great soul laner, but also he serves this purpose in this stalemate two support battle. Morales wins, and you have Artanis winning against Sonya. Sonya can't prevent him from doing that damage. Obviously going to be much easier. Hold that thought. Sign is a crazy person. It's obviously going to be much easier on that first Immortal phase, but still, I think this sort of process will be repeated as we go into 2 and 3.
Well, that's right. Sonya is winning the solo lane, though. If you can pressure in a lot more, gain a lot more value, that will be great for BlossoM. But I say the two, of course, standing on top does have some wave clear. Not the best, but as long as you can sustain against the Sonya, I think that's a good pick. Even Dehaka was always having trouble against Sonya. Even Martel was sometimes losing against Sonya, so I think that's a decent pick.
Yeah, you kind of just have to sit back, wait, and then when you use amateur opponent to clear with your auto attacks, like when they get close to the turrets, you're just like, this feels terrible, but I guess that's all I have. Gondar, again, very aggressive positioning. Willpower slide back here to try to find his way home safe. Sign looking for the pulse bomb to kill the fort. Bit of a gross miscalculation there, as that was certainly not going to do it.
Just trying to do some more damage. Pulse bomb doesn't do too much damage, Wolf.
No. It's definitely not the I mean, that was an NA pulse bomb, shall we say, but Gondar again trying to threaten here, but this comp is just so difficult to burn through.
Sustaining alright, but in terms of damage, BlossoM is doing so much more before the pulse bomb CC connects from the Tempest side, but the sustain is crazy as we see Honkono just surviving at the back line all the time, providing grenades if they need some escape. I think that's why they picked Morales even before Uther.
Yeah.
They needed some CC, possibly with the grenade, to just sustain as you can see here.
We saw some Morales out of MVP Black, obviously, on Sunday, and it was really incredible what we watched, and we saw some good play, but in this situation, more than just, okay, we're healing Avala and like let's try to win every team fight on Cursed Hollow, this is like, I don't know what BlossoM is supposed to do, and they will probably never allow this to go through the draft again. Okay, Gondar gets a good angle here, but again, look at Honkono's positioning! No one is even touching him! Look at his shields!
And now Gondar's getting punished. Johanna's looking for the kill. Maybe just not enough damage. They do get the last bit of damage, even with the speed boost. Could not escape there.
It's a parting gift for you. Don't even know if that was what did him in the end. Sign is like, he's like, oh man, I was like 2% off my pulse bomb. He wanted to drop it on the gate to get the splash damage kill. So they kept this one competitive, but everyone had to tap home. And now, again, amateur opponent is pretty good. BlossoM is going to invade to save. To invade to defend, I should say. Tempest looks to set up for better positioning here. They want to just draw them in, then HA2 is going to sneak back. Watch this. Going to set up for the defense. If they don't get a pick, HA2 will go back.
Ooh. Close swab onto Dudu. Before 10, he does not have casting go, no sound barrier, so one single swap will be a kill on Dudu's.
Notice HG2's positioning. He's trying to sneak back around. Yeah. He's going up. This is exactly what they want. They're just going to out-sustain, so HG2 goes back. And now what does BlossoM do? It's like, uh-oh, amateur opponents over there. I feel like I've watched this before.
They do not have too much poke, as Dudu is the only range damage source. But they will do burst damage onto lockdown and burst down the tank.
Looks like Honkono just didn't change heal targets quickly enough. And finally, they got that pick they've been so desperately needing all game long. Finally. It's going to be close here, actually, for this one. The invade comes through. Looks like Tempest will just barely win it. The skin of their teeth, 624.
Still managed to get... Wow. Even without Artanis, they knew they had the burst damage. Tracer does not do too much damage onto their Immortal, but along with the teammate, that was enough. ETC came for the defense, just not enough at the time.
The deficit they had was a problem too as well, obviously. Tempest will get level 10 from this. They won't get all too much else. BlossoM has Slogen on their side, and just not even necessarily going to get this last cannon tower. I guess if Tempest comes down, then it will. Ooh. Nice dodge there. This should do very limited damage because of the lack of shields. Had to go into melee range so early. Okay, we're going to see this commitment to Stim Drone. Unfortunately, Sign isn't really going to do much but kill this fort with it. I guess that's been his job this game. They do get the fort. BlossoM didn't have 10, so...
Tracer for siege damage. That's what Tempest is doing. And big rotation, nicely done by Wiz. He does smell the rotation coming up, so he does have... Does Heart back come in. Meanwhile, this is a great timing for Camp, of course, with the amateur opponent doing so much damage.
This was not the.
Ooh, are they coming? Okay.
We're not gonna get the steal here.
Ooh, but they need a kill onto HG2. There's
a
swap.
So cool that swap there. Then he used charge. Look at Honkono. He's in here.
And
Blind comes
heals
in.
From a Morales. That's just enough. And here comes Sign. He's looking for the kill. Does have the Tracer.
Sound barrier is well used here. Gondar with the pulse immediately, though. The swap comes through. Honkono, will he die? Finally, he does go down here. And now Hyde is in trouble, has to self-divine shield. He gets out sick axes to try to get him over the wall here. There's no ammo on these cannon towers. This is going to become a nice push here for BlossoM. That might be able to trade fort for fort.
This teamfight went insane for BlossoM. Tempest was scattered all apart, and so Honkono was having a tough time positioning himself. Where do I go? Tracer is all the way in the front. Who do I heal at the right moment? And it was caught in the mosh for a few seconds.
I wonder. Do you think Honkono was in range to actually divine shield Honkono? Or sorry, if who's playing?
Uther?
Yeah, Uther. Whoever's playing Uther this game, I forgot. Yeah, Hyde. Why? That's totally drawing a blank. Do you think Hyde was in range to actually Divine Shield Morales? I think that could have been the better play.
He cleansed Morales, but Morales could not escape the mosh at the time. Maybe Hyde thought cleanse was enough for him to escape the mosh, and he could not at the end. But it was cancelled right after.
Yeah, I feel like if he Divine Shielded Honkono, then HA2 lives longer, Lockdown lives longer, then maybe it's a better fight. But it's hard to make those decisions on the fly, and this is just another one of those great plays from Gondar on this hero that they prioritized so heavily over the Vala. They lost the Vala, but
even before the team fight, that was a sick swap coming out from H82. Just having that kind of understanding of the hero. Yeah. That's exactly why we say Artanis for H82 all the time.
Gondar again, nearly getting the pick.
Survives with all the damage. Morales is OP.
Okay, we're going to see the stim drone come in now. Sign does have that here. You can see the damage comes in insanely quickly. It still has to reload, obviously, but will do quite a bit of damage in this moment, but not enough. And it starts to feel like Tempest is really starting to feel the pressure of Gondar's ETC here now. It was never a problem before, but it keeps consistently doing damage. Great grenades here, though, onto Gondar, and he is going to go down. Those grenades were so good. The second one there especially. And now the chase is real. Pulse comes in. Zul'jin does pop Taz Dingo.
Dochat dies right before the sound barrier comes back online for him. And Sign, notice how he's taking so much damage, but the healing is just insane coming out from Morales, and also Hyde giving him armor all the time. He's not scared of anything. As long as he has some supports on his side, he's just doing whatever he wants to do. He's not backing off.
Well, now it's going to be 13k shields for this one. And despite the fact that ETC was really putting the pressure on to the back line, the grenades were well placed. And, you know, BlossoM has put all their eggs in this ETC basket, both games. Can we say that the Zul'jin is in this game as impactful as a Vala would be in the same situation? I don't think so. A Vala would have at least made those trades against Morales in terms of the Immortal with her Q build better. Would have been Vala there, not Sonya, to poke the Immortal. Without that poke, Zul'jin just hasn't been as valuable. And they committed to the ETC. They basically had the choice between ETC and Vala. They chose the ETC because of Gondar's playmaking. And sure, we've had some moments in this game, but at the end of the day, when we asked the question, was the Zul'jin good enough to justify them committing to the ETC? And I think the answer so far is a resounding no.
Well, again, the game's not over. This Immortal is pushing, and there's a pulse bomb onto Gondar, but it was protected with the armor. So a lot less damage taken, and he's sustaining pretty well in the front line. There's a big swap coming on to Dutu. He has to sustain himself. Taz Dingo is available.
Okay, Sign's coming in here. He wants Gondar Blessed Shield with it. He's on top of him here. Mosh comes up in 3. A risky call to get this close here. Cleanse comes through. Sign is in the wrong base. He's out there.
To the other side. They don't even care. They do have Mosh Pit, and there's a Taz Dingo doing tons of damage right after he's dead.
First good Divine Shield of this game. Sign survives with it. Honkono's going to switch that healing beam. He's going to live. Gondar is not. Dies to the Radiance. And this actually could be lights out here in our second game, G-Clap. This is going to be the fort falling to tatters now as we move forward. Keep, I should say. The announcer says fort, but it's really a keep. And we are just going to see them back off. Death timer's still pretty low. They take the 16. And they're just going to set up for advantage for the next Immortal phase.
And also, Honkono, I am impressed by Honkono's plays. Look, those grenades provided enough zoning for them to escape all the time, to cancel all the CCs connecting. Gondar was having some pressure because of those grenades. He was looking for the mosh pit angle. It was tough. Tracer came back from going to the other base and getting Divine Shielded at the perfect timing. I believe there was all shot calling coming out from Hyde right there.
Yeah, and, you know, to be able to convey that amount of information that quickly just shows the teamwork of this roster that realistically for 3 of the 5 members has been together for so long. 4 of the 5 for a decently long time. Sure, there were moments where Sign was not on the team, Honkono not on the team, but now they've kind of reformed. It feels like the old Tempest, H82, feels like the perfect cherry on top in terms of this solo lane meta that we have right now, as Artanis has been on point this game. And this game is not over, as you mentioned before, but it's certainly headed that way if BlossoM can't make this phase the best Immortal phase we've seen all game. And they're already not even on the position in time. They're going to lose halftime. And against the composition that's won, even, when we're starting at 100% to 100%, consistently won, I don't know how they're going to win it when they're already at half health.
It's a tough decision for BlossoM because they're losing the sustain. Sound barrier has to be dropped, which best timing to be dropped is right after the Tazdingo, but oftentimes it is used early before the Tazdingo, so Zul'jin not to do maximum damage.
It's very difficult to pull off. It's very strong if used perfectly, but it's one of those things, man. You know they've practiced this comp probably 100 times, but to be able to do it properly, probably have to practice it 1,000 times to be able to do it without making mistakes. Good protection here onto Dudu. And they are going to go for a heavy invade. Wrath of the Berserker is put out early here. Stim Drone used onto Sign. Mora is in trouble. Blessed Shield's going to prevent him. But look at that. Sound Barrier comes in, not with the Taz Dingo, but at least it protects the Tazstar. Look at that. Max range swap. Cleanse not enough to save Tracer, but where's the damage? Zul'jin comes in. The Divine Shield coming out from Hyde here. That's the pick on the Tassadar. Looks like Sonya's going to be the next one.
And Sign survived from the top and in the screen. So many swaps going on. There's a Tazdingo, but no sustain whatsoever right after. He cannot do so much damage as no Tatsus. He may just be the only one left after this team fight.
Looks like it. Sign will avoid all that damage. They have 4 catapults here. And they could decide to end this game however they choose at this point. To choose your own adventure game. They're going to go for the safe option, the 31k Immortal Shields. And look, the Zul'jin, we've seen it. It's done decent, right? But, you know, you joked about Jimmy Rayner. We have seen Rayner when in places we thought we'd see Zul'jin in this tournament, but I just don't feel like the pick has worked out well enough. The coordination with the sound barriers like you were talking about has not given them the ability to do max damage and carry like Zul'jin would like to do. And against this team that's playing so well with this Morales comp and the sustain, it's like Zul'jin isn't going to be enough. And I don't blame BlossoM for this because, again, this is something that's clearly well practiced, like really well practiced. And it doesn't feel like a troll comp. It feels like really well thought out, but Tempest knows this comp better, sadly, and HA2 is the best Artaz probably in the world, so I don't know what you could do here. Now they've got a max shield Immortal. Catapults coming bot lane. Gonna take a miracle to come back from this one, G-Clef. Let's see if they can make it happen.
I think there's a small window still for BlossoM to come back, of course. It has to be connecting with the mosh pit. Even if they had cleanse, we saw some cool moshes happening with Gondar. And Zul'jin, I think the sound barrier is the biggest tool. Wiz, you cannot get caught off alone. He does manage to go over the gate barely, with half health there.
Okay, Gondar just trying to make the mosh pit the money one. Okay, he gets knocked into the team. Can he use it here? No, he cannot. He's blown up before he gets the chance to even cast it. No interrupts whatsoever. Tazdingo used very early in this fight. Dudu will just barely survive here. Can he turn around and do max damage? That's the question. I think the answer is no to, as he survives here, but what does it matter? The core is under attack. The Immortal is in melee mode, but it's still got 2/3 of its health. He comes out of the fountain very high in health, so his attack speed's not enough. And it looks like this is going to be the end here, G-Clef, for game number 2.
Seems like it. This Immortal is also doing damage to the core, is almost going down 10%, and that will be game 2. Sound Barrier was always used before the Tazdingo. They were trying to do the chase, put out burst damage, maybe trying to get a kill before, but on the other side, at the end, there was always the Morales giving out the sustained healing onto perfect targets. Sign always going in deep at the first time, having Pulse Bomb, doing some damage, recalls out when he's low, and then getting the heal back up to full health every single time. And BlossoM really could not solve that problem until the late game.
Yeah, I feel like there were a few shining moments for Gondar. Those are the only times where I ever felt like Sign was pressured. And sadly, because that was the only way they could make this happen, that's why they had to play Zul'jin, or at least that's why they felt like they had to play Zul'jin, because they had to take the ETC over the Vala. It's funny because if you look at BlossoM's identity, going back, I mean, even back to 2015 for this player, Dudu, he's always been known as one of the best Vala players in the world. He was always the star player of his team. He's no longer. That's why they picked the ETC instead of the Vala, which cost them big here, I think, in terms of Immortal Race and sustain and things like that, because Artanis just won with amateur opponent. Gondar had to make the star plays. He made a few, but unfortunately the positioning was just too good. Like, I can't say a bad thing about Honkono's game there. I can't say one bad thing about his Morales. I can't believe in 2017, the thing I'm saying is Honkono's Morales is so good, his positioning is so good. I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but they are. And I mean, it's been a wacky season with double supports. We're seeing these new star support players come out of nowhere. Never played support before.
It seemed like Honkono's even better than Hyde in that game, as Divine Shield was often a little bit late sometimes.
Yeah, there was a little bit of weird moments
and the healing came in time. Of course, the cleanse has been good, but it was not enough to escape the mosh pit sometimes. Maybe cleanse has to be buffed a little. You know?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
But maybe we need more cleanse. I think we're lacking cleanse.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need more cleanse. Every support should have a cleanse. We need a triple support meta, G-Clef, yeah. Post that one on Reddit. See what the community has to say.
I apologize, everyone.
Talk to the master chef, man.
Yes.
All right. So that is going to do it for our first two games, guys. We are going to have a short commercial break before we go into our next match or our next map. Sorry, this series is not over. BlossoM could still bounce back. Again, any win at all against Tempest is a scary prospect because Tempest then might not make that tiebreaker. So we're going to go to the short commercial break, guys, and when we come back, we are going to have game number 3 and the map that we're playing it on. We'll tell you guys about it when we return, so stay tuned.